turning to probably the most common question is, in terms of probate, is do we need to use a solicitor?
Well, the short answer is no, you don't. But it, sometimes is a matter of, well, it's always a matter of choice. But it's a question of, have you got enough time to be running around finding out about the assets, closing bank accounts? Do you understand what the terms of the will are? Are you absolutely sure that you fully understand who's entitled to what? When it comes to completing inheritance tax forms, if there is going to be inheritance tax to pay, or if the estate is over a certain amount of money, then it's a long, it's what's called an IHT 400 form, and it's quite long, and it has all sorts of schedules depending on the various assets that you've got. So that can be quite tricky to fill in properly. And then obviously you've got to arrange to pay the tax, you've got to do the probate application, and again that can be complicated, especially if you're dealing with an intestacy. It's easier if there's a will, but if it's an intestacy, you've got to explain in the forms why you're the person entitled rather than anybody else in the family, for example.
Yes.
You've also got to make sure you locate all the assets and any debts, and it may be that you have to advertise for creditors to come forward to make sure that you've actually found everybody that needs to be paid before you can pay any money out to beneficiaries. So there's a lot to do, and you need to work out, have you really got the time to do it? How confident are you that you're going to fill the forms in properly, and also that you've claimed all the exemptions and transferred any reliefs that may have been available to the previous partner who died, for example. There are quite complicated things you need to consider. So you might need to get advice from a solicitor at the very least, but you may decide you just want the solicitor to do it all for you.
Yes, I mean, I think in the end, it is that you can do it yourself, but it may be much more helpful for you and your family if a solicitor does it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're quite used to people turning up with plastic bags full of papers, and I will just wade through them and work out what's what, and then fill the forms in for you and just provide it all to you for you to sign. I can just do the grant of probate bit, which means basically finding out about the assets, filling in the inheritance tax forms and doing the probate application. And then once the grant of probate or letters of administration comes in, then I just hand it over to you, and then you go to the banks with it and get the money in and then distribute the money.
Yes, but obviously in more complicated estates, you probably would do the whole.
Yes,
lot.
It would be sensible to do all of it. And also, if there are any children inheriting, that can be quite difficult because they can't actually inherit large sums of money until they're 18. So the money would have to be held in trust until they reach that age. And there may be trusts where the money under the will they don't actually get until they're, say, 25. So you would need help to set up the trusts and so on to administer all of that, because it could be for many years if they're quite young children.